We're going to talk about the planet before we get to the show. I think we can all see that the materials we use in this industry, the processes in this industry, and the life cycle of those products, they're having a negative impact on the people and the planet. And I think we could probably agree that we can and we should work together in some way to improve that. And we do know from this podcast that we are better together, aren't we? Look at the community that we've created together. Look at the things that we've achieved because we were together. So I want to tell you about an opportunity. It's called Interior Design Declares. The United Kingdom has started the very first country group chapter of Interior Design Declares, and they are making a call to action. They are asking the USA and any other country that you might be listening from to join together and start a country chapter in your country. Interior Design Declares is a voluntary pledge that you make to improve and learn together to lower the impact that this industry is having on the planet. It is a network of designers, suppliers, and educators all working toward the same goal. And guess what? They don't care where you are personally or professionally in the journey. They just know you have to start somewhere, and why not with them? So this is a call to you. If it resonates with you, if this is something you have wanted to get involved in, but you weren't sure how or where to do it, Interior Design Declares needs 5 people from each country to be a co-founder volunteer. And then once they have that, they will guide you on how to run the group, how to share the learnings, and how to inspire and campaign together to lead your country and the industry to do better, to be better. Now, if you are interested, you can learn more about the UK group at interiordesigndeclares.co.uk. And if you're even just a tiny bit interested in wondering what it would mean to start a chapter in your country, you don't have to worry about being obligated. Just interested is all you need to be. If that's you, drop an email to info@interiordesignDeclares.co.uk and put in the subject line, Luann sent me. Okay, so info@interiordesignDeclares.co.uk, and we will also put these links in the show notes. So you got a little interest, take a little step, take a little action, make a big change. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome back one of my favorite hashtags, smart ladies, Rachael Johanson. If you have been listening for any length of time, you probably know Rachael. She's been a guest here on the podcast multiple times, an expert at Luann Live, and in full transparency, I've even worked with her myself. Why? Because when it comes to building a multi-million-dollar personal brand in the design industry, Rachael Johanson is the go-to expert. Her clients include design leaders that you know, like Kathy Kuo, Sandra Funk, Ariane Belazar, Heather Hansen, and many other rising stars ready to skip the years of learning curve and position themselves at the top of the elite luxury market. Since we last spoke, Rachel's world has completely transformed. She's welcomed her beautiful daughter, Lyda, last year, and she's training for a half Ironman. Yes, you heard that right. With a 6 month old baby, she's training. But more importantly, for our conversation today, she's also reinvented her business model to focus exclusively on what she calls brand launch weekends. Today, we're diving deep into what it really takes to transition from mid market to luxury, why your current marketing approach might be keeping you stuck, and the specific language that changes and transforms how the market perceives you. If you've ever wondered how to position yourself for fewer but bigger and better projects, this conversation is pure gold. I am so happy to welcome back Rachel to A Well-Designed Business. Well, Rachel, I am so happy and delighted to welcome you back to the podcast today. How are you, sweetie?
Good. I'm so excited to be here. I always
I
love our
know.
conversations.
Me too. Me too. And your world has completely changed in the last several months since we have seen each other. You have your beautiful Lyda on the planet now.
I
So
know
tell us about that.
she's only 6 months. Can you believe it?
No, I
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's true what they say. They go so fast.
know.
And you and I were talking about this earlier, but I'm like, I feel like I've heard women for so long say, like, your heart is walking outside in the world, like this other extension of you. And I really feel it now.
I
So
know.
it's
It's
it's been
crazy.
really special, big
Oh,
time. Yeah.
that's awesome. And it's funny because we talk here and there, but of course we all get to watch each other's lives through Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's I love, like, I took Christy on her first plane when she was 4 weeks old. And
Mm,
so I just see you just like we're still moving and grooving. We're doing what we want to do when we want to do it and how we want to do it. But
yeah.
it's like, come on, little Ida, let's go.
I
Right?
know. We've been trying to really integrate her into our life. So sometimes I'll bring her on coffee meetings, or we flew recently for our first spring break. I'm putting that in quotes, right? Spring break's a little different now. I don't even know if I told you this, but I'm training for an Ironman. Did I
Oh,
tell you that?
I meant to ask you about that because I saw that on Instagram, and I'm like, wait, what? In
Yeah,
the
I know.
first year
So
postpartum?
my little peanut comes with me on training. So it's a half Ironman and it's in
Oh,
September. So
but
it's
still, half
Oh yeah,
Ironman.
no, I am not like taking away any credit on that. It's a huge race. So it's 1.7 mile swim. It's a 56-mile bike, and then it's a 13.1, so like half
That's
marathon at the very
beyond
end.
my comprehension.
Mine too, to be clear, right? Like it is.
But I
I'm
mean, the
deep in
training
training.
time that it
It is,
requires
Lou.
for that.
It is. Yeah, and I'm a swimmer, like not born and raised, but like I swam in high school. I ran track. I'm not going to say I'm
Okay.
like the fastest runner by any means, but swimming is my strength.
Okay.
The bike has been challenging to say the least. You like clip in, you're like leaning over the handles. I feel like I'm like Lance Armstrong female version. It's quite the feat, especially like
Yeah.
postpartum. Like I just got cleared to run, and being clear here, it's like a very slow walk jog.
Yeah.
But I have really been thinking about this idea. I've heard so many women say that they lose themselves in motherhood, and I'm like,
Mm.
I want to gain myself. I
Oh.
really do. And I want to
Yeah.
have this new dimension of myself. And I'm like always thinking about this idea of like, I want Lyda to live in the arena. I want
Yeah.
her to put herself out there for bold opportunities and to try and to fail and then try
Yeah.
again. So this is my big, like, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm not there to prove I'm the fastest. I'm
Nope.
absolutely
I'm
not.
just That's a race
But
where you just go to finish the darn race.
yeah,
I'm
and I
saying.
think
It's
it's a
not a race. I'm
no,
gonna
this
participate
is
and give me my
totally. I
participation
want to like
trophy.
know the edge of like my limits, and I'm like meeting the
Yes.
edge. So I've been bringing my little peanut in the run stroller with me. So yeah, we've been like really integrating her, and it's a big time commitment on training, big
That's
time.
the thing. It's like, so
Yeah,
and the crazy thing is you could have done, a sprint try. You could
yeah,
have done any version of this, and
yeah.
it's still in the first year of having a baby would have
Hmm.
been challenging.
Big
You know what I'm
time.
saying? It
Yeah,
really would have
yeah.
been just to maintain the level of fitness to even do a sprint try,
Sure.
let alone a half Ironman. That's
I know.
beyond
Well, I'm
my
excited about
comprehension.
it, and I'm noticing myself getting stronger and stronger every day. And my goal has just been to consistently show up.
Yeah.
There's days where I'm like, please no. No,
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah,
way. A 2.5 hour bike ride? I'm like, please no, I just learned to clip in. I'm like falling, like, no. But I think that's the point, right? Of
yeah,
like putting
yeah.
yourself out there for bold opportunities, and I want to show her how to do it. And
That's
part of me is like
amazing.
so excited for the race to be here so I can be done with it. So I'm
Yeah.
like in that season where I'm like waking up really early with my little girl and
Oh
putting her
my
in the
gosh.
bike stroller and
Yeah.
making it happen.
I have to
Yeah.
tell you, there was probably a good, solid, legit 20 years where I swam, bike, and ran
Yeah.
regularly. And
Yeah.
I did a triathlon here one time, but I didn't
Yeah.
continue to compete in triathlons because it was once I did it, I knew I'm like, I do this every week. Like I don't
Mm.
need to be in
Mhm.
an event to do it.
Sure.
Um, and the only thing I added to that was yoga. But
Mhm.
the thing is, like, it's just the time. It's like
Yeah.
I would love a 2-hour bike ride. I enjoyed my 2-hour bike rides. I enjoyed the time in the pool. I enjoyed the time running, but it's like fitting it in.
It's
And I
really
didn't
hard.
do it when I had children.
Yeah.
I had Christy, I probably started on this path when she was like in 7th or 8th grade. Like she
Yeah.
was making her own snacks and tying
Yeah.
her own shoes and doing her own homework.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
had to fit it in. Like
It's
I
hard.
remember I would
Yeah.
take her to her pitching lessons and then I would do a 5-mile run in the 35 minutes of the pitching lesson.
Yeah.
Or I would drop her off for training and I would hop in the pool and do my 50 laps. Like I had to do it that way with mothering. But
Mhm.
um like this first year, like that's insane to me. And you made me when I saw that on Instagram, I was like, God, Lynn, you're so lazy. Like I was
No,
like,
no. I'm on my own journey. No, no, no. And to your point though, like I'm in the stage, if it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed with it, brings me over the top joy, it's just a no.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
don't have
yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
Not the
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But I literally was like, God, you're like, I literally had like, I'm like, she can do a half Ironman with a newborn, and you can't manage to go and do like 20 laps this week. Like, what the actual girl?
no, no. It's a journey. Yeah.
Anyway, so hats off to you. But I mean, this is a big change in your
It is.
lifestyle, and
Yeah.
you've also changed your business
Mm.
because of Lida and your season of life. So, we have our other episodes with you where we've gone
Yeah.
all the way through the way you serve women in
Yeah.
helping them step into the fullest expression of themselves as women business owners and as women on the planet. Um, and so now you're doing it in a different way again. You've
Yeah.
reinvented yourself in your business. So you got to tell us about it.
Yeah, so I think the biggest shift that I've been making is, well, first, like when I was on maternity leave or I was getting ready for Lida to come into the world, I'm always really intentional about designing the life and like what does
Mhm.
that look like? What would bring me the most joy and also like where can I serve best? And I was like thinking through the three different ways that I coach women. Virtually through one-on-one coaching where they come to Chicago and I train them on the Lux days and then also brand launch weekends. And I realized like where I do my best work is through brand launch weekends. And like what that is, it's like 4 days, a woman and I in Chicago, and it's 6 months. It's her and I for half a year strategizing and planning the brand. So when we meet together in Chicago, we are doing everything from brand new logo, new website. I am posing every single headshot. I am writing every single word on her website. I am designing every single marketing packet. It is truly a turnkey brand.
Wow.
And that allows me to partner with her over half a year and sometimes more to build this out. And I was feeling like after giving birth to Lida, like how can I serve in the best way? And it's this way. So I'm going from doing 3 of those a year to doing 5 of those a year. And
Okay.
then really scaling back and doing virtual coaching or Lux Day coaching because there's another level of, I'm going to call it like partnership that I have with a woman when I'm writing every single sales call script and
Yeah.
literally like moving the jewelry on her body for a headshot. That makes me so excited and invested long term. And it's just a different level of
Yeah.
friendship. So that's
It's
how I'm really
crazy.
transitioning the business is really focusing on doing 2 more of those a year.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, and the thing is, my experience with you has always been this ability that you have to laser focus and see the things that we don't see. It's
Oh,
it's
thank you.
such an incredible gift that you have. And it actually is a two-part gift. It's somebody might have the ability to see the thing that is right in front of our eyes that we
Mhm.
miss,
Yeah.
right? What used to call it find the gold or
Yeah,
something, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it
What's your
was,
goal? I
right?
feel like you and I did a whole episode on that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
what's your gold? But the other thing is, and the other part of your talent is the ability now to turn that into
Mm.
action, to turn it into messaging, to turn it into, well, what are the services that you should lean into, and how should you show up in the world so that you can feel like every day is just, I mean, that's the difference, right? When you really have a deep dive into who you are, who you serve, what you've just done for yourself, like you've done a deep
Mhm.
dive, you're like, this is my best version of my professional self,
Mhm.
and in order to give my best version of my professional self, on reflection, it's like I got to take away some of these things so I can do this 5 times a year instead
Right.
of doing it 2 or 3, but doing these other things 4 or 5 or 6 times. But when you help somebody do that,
Mhm.
like, that's just the difference between life clicks and life is out of sync. It's like we
Yeah.
wake up and we're just like, I love what I'm doing today. Like, let's
Right.
just go do this. Right. And you give
Yeah.
that gift
Yeah.
to people, Rach. You give that gift to people.
Thank you. And I just have so much fun doing it, right? To be able to really identify like who is a woman? What is she great at? How can we build a brand where I've looked at every nook and cranny, like literally designed like page one of every single marketing packet to like page 15, like wrote every single word. And how can I give it all to her and train her to go
Yes.
launch it? And I like really, really deeply believe that creativity and profitability, like they don't need to be mutually exclusive. Like,
Right.
and I am always looking to build brands that don't fit in. I want to
Yes.
help women build brands that are really remembered and are super profitable. So a lot of women are coming to me in two areas. Either version A, where she's like, listen, like I'm doing 30 projects a year. I'm exhausted. I want to
Mm,
do 10. So similar idea of like, how do I laser focus to my genius? I want fewer, I want bigger, and I want better projects. How am I going to double those furnishings budgets? So I come in, I'm like, how can I cross you over the bridge from 30 projects a year to 10? It's all going to be the positioning. So a
mhm.
lot of women that are like fit in that like brand launch weekend, like they fit in that category. They're like, I know what I want. I see it. I might have had a few of those ideal clients, but I just don't know how to get there consistently. How do I make that my 100%? Or I have this other woman that I see that's saying, listen, like I've been a firm owner for a long time. I've had great luxury projects, and I'm at this place in my business in my life where I want to be intentional also on my next stage. What are some other titles that I could have besides firm owner? I
All
want
right.
licensing. I want a book deal. I want to create a mentorship program or whatever that looks like. So those all those women are coming to me being like, how do I cross the bridge of like where I am now to the other side, and
Mm,
how do I really really sit in the luxury market where I'm doing less projects for
mm,
more money,
for more
and
money.
and so I really like sit hand in hand with her, like I am her extra business partner,
Yeah. Yeah.
doing it like in the very beginning from like doing an extensive audit. And I was actually doing this for a client recently, and this might be helpful to your audience, but like one of the first things I do when I onboard a woman is I collect all of her brand collateral. I'm like, show me every single email that you send to set up a site visit, to set up a consultation call, hand me that investment guide. I am looking through with redlining it, right? Like
Yeah.
crossing things out, and I'm auditing the entire thing. And I'm sitting and thinking, okay, why would someone ghost her? Why would someone say no to her? Why would someone shop her around? So, like, that's the first piece I do is collect all this information and really sit in the ideal client seat. And then something else I do, and this might be also an interesting question for your audience, is I ask her, how do you think the market currently perceives you? She'll give me an answer. And then I look at all the collateral I just went through and I'm like, where's the disconnect?
Yeah.
Where's the disconnect here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you think that you are selling really high end services, but the way you're positioning yourself isn't at all. And something that I would highly suggest that everyone does is has someone that's an ideal client. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, neighbor. Go through every nook and cranny of your sales process from inquiry form on your website to doing the site visit. And I want them to make notes for you of what they're thinking every step of the way. And I
Mm,
want to be clear, do not pick someone that is
Who?
not your ideal client. Just pick your cousin that shops at Pottery Barn. Nothing wrong with it. But they're going to tell you that this is too detailed, too expensive. You really, really want to be sitting in your ideal client seat. And when I was, it's really interesting, Lou, I was prepping some notes for a brand launch weekend that I have coming up in June. And when I was auditing this current client's, I'm going to call it like collateral or marketing packets, I noticed over and over again she was using we and you marketing. Let me explain what this means. She had in her collateral things like, we will work with you to bring your dream to life. That was a section on her website. Or she had a piece of her marketing packet that said the advantages of working with us include, right? Or schedule your design consultation today. So
Okay.
when we're saying things like, we will work with you to bring your vision to life, or the advantages of working with us, so we, you, and us marketing,
Okay.
that reads not high end at all. That reads desperate. That reads eager. That reads, I'm available, please call and hire me.
Okay.
So, and I knew that she didn't mean to do that, right?
Right.
Of course not. She was just trying to showcase her advantage to the marketplace.
Right.
So when I went and rewrote everything and also put together a training guide, because that's the other piece, like I can rewrite it, but I want her to understand why. So it never,
Exactly.
ever happens again.
Yes.
Instead of we work with you to bring your dream to life, I wrote a meticulous attention to detail from concept to completion. Or instead of the advantages of working with us include, I just wrote a decade of unmatched expertise.
Right.
So the luxury market, you're declaring your value. You're not
Yeah.
trying to convince of
Ah,
value,
love it.
right? So it's
Right.
like we're looking at every nook and cranny of like, this is the way that you think you're perceiving yourself, which is very high end, and you have all this background. And let me explain to you of why you should hire us. When instead in the luxury market, they want to be not convinced that you're the best. They want to be reassured that
Yeah.
you're the expert.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Interesting, right? And like she didn't
Right.
even know she was sitting on that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so is it the type of thing when you think the transition from we and you, is it our firm does for its luxury clients or whatever the thing is? In other words, I almost feel like there's a little gatekeeping there. It's like, am
Mm-hmm.
I one of those people? Am I like
Yeah.
you all over the website? I've never heard this. No one's ever brought this conversation out before on the podcast, but you all over the site, are we saying it's too accessible? Like when we're
Yeah.
talking about going full on top tier luxury, we're not
Yeah.
talking about mid tier luxury. We're talking
Right.
top tier,
Yeah,
right?
and thank you for making a note on that. Because if you are trying to do 30 projects a year, you
Yeah,
guys,
you need
just to be totally
we
honest, like
do.
this podcast is probably not a right fit to listen to because I don't want to steer you
Right.
down the wrong lane.
Right. We
If
don't
you are
want that
looking to
level
do,
designer to change everything
yeah,
because they
please
want to
don't,
get
because
30
you
people in the
want to
pipeline.
get 30 people
Yes.
in the room. You want to do paint consultations. You're happy to do, a
Yes.
site visit and charge $1,500, and if they don't sign, they don't sign. Like if that is your
Right.
market, wonderful and brilliant. Who I'm
And
really,
it can
really
be
speaking
profitable.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, who I'm really speaking to is the woman that's like, how do I double my furnishings budgets? I want to get my design fees up. I want 10. I want 15 projects a year. How do I cross over that bridge? A
Right.
lot of times they're marketing themselves still for the 30 project market because that's what they're used to and that's what they've
Right.
been
And it's
doing for
worked.
years.
And it's worked.
And they need an outside lens to rewrite everything and also train them of why we do this or why we don't do this. And
Yeah.
that's just like one nook and cranny, right? Of like part of the intake process.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know what's interesting, Rachel, is I have had many conversations over the last several years, especially in some of the on air coaching strategies, where I feel like there's the same disconnect happens when you are in the entry level market
Mm,
and you're accustomed to, okay, we're going to go out to the retail mall and we're going to shop together and you're going to torture me,
mm-hmm.
but this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to send you the floor plan and the furniture that I want you to buy. And then you're going to send it back to me and say, I can get this on the internet, right? Like, I feel like it's a lot of conversation has happened between well, your website is talking about, I collaboratively work with you to do this, but meanwhile, you're telling me you want to perform this as a luxury service and them stay at home and let you deliver it to them.
Totally. And
But
there's such a
but you're
disconnect.
constantly talking about how we do this together. But I think I don't know, we've had very many, if at all, the conversation where you do get to that 30 projects a year and the phone is always ringing and you are
Hmm.
making money, but you want to now level yourself up to the next thing. And it's a very known business thing. What got you to one spot isn't
Totally.
going to get you to the other. And it worked really
Exactly.
good in the other spot, but
But the
that's
way,
such an
yeah,
aha.
yeah, the
That's
way
such
you
an aha.
marketed yourself for the 30 projects a year is not the way you're going to market yourself for 10. And that's why the
Yes.
women are coming to me. They're like, I am exhausted,
Yes.
right? I want fewer projects. I want better projects. I want bigger projects. And I always tell them, like, you cannot be a designer for everyone and be the designer that's at the top of your market.
Right.
And
Right.
I heard this recently, and I'm not sure where I heard it, but I love this quote that confusion repels,
Oh, yeah.
simplicity sells,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like it's so good because in the luxury market, like we should never, ever, ever be competing on price. That is a
Right.
quick
Oh, no.
race to the bottom. So, right, like what you're looking to do instead is really in the luxury market, like sell on value and
Yeah.
putting yourself in the bucket of I'm different and I'm incomparable is what I'm looking to do to help a woman because like how we can escape competition of being shopped around with all the other designers is through differentiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the magic is. So like really what I'm doing with a woman is like we're figuring out like what makes her special, what makes her different. And then step 2 is like how do we create a story around that?
Yep.
How do I use the verbiage that matches? How do I create the headshots that make sense? And then part 3 is like we're just going to market the hell out of it and put it
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really the goal and the idea. And a lot of women, like through the months and months of the 6 months of us working together to figure this out, they come to me being like, but I don't know what makes me different.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
they're using general vocabulary of like, yeah, I can help with custom builds, or we have turnkey services, or we're a luxury designer. And I say this with so much love, but like you're using general vocabulary. And
Yes.
it's almost like to flip it and take it outside of the market. That would be a luxury wedding planner that does a 7-figure wedding saying, I have a really good process.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I hope you won. Why are you selling that? Right? Like, what the heck? So the question becomes is like, what makes you different? What makes you special? And you and I have like done episodes on this in the past, but a
Mm.
lot of women are coming to me, like 85% being like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how to market myself. I'm sitting too close.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting too close.
That's what it is. It is the sitting so close to it. It makes it difficult. And it
It does.
often does take somebody to reflect you back, right? And the other thing too is you might get that reflection back, but then you have the fear. So
Mm,
I've been a designer for 15 years and I
yep.
have consistently for the last 5 years done 30 projects a year and I'm
Mm-hmm.
paying myself $250,000 a year. I'm
Yeah.
actually doing a lot of things right. But to your
Yeah.
point, maybe I'm just like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah,
like,
or like I can have far less overhead
yes,
and
yes,
do 10 projects a year with more cash in my pocket.
right.
So, and I hear that note on women being worried
That's
about
what I'm saying.
niching down. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
it's
see
like
that often.
you
Yeah,
can also reflect to us what our superpower is that would work, but then we have to know that yes, just like when you used to be 85 an hour and you went to
right,
175, that's what I hear all the time. Oh, but my clients won't call me. I'm like, I know, because there's new ones waiting on the other side. Like you
right,
got to let them go. But like, I don't think we talk about this at this transition from mid
right.
upper to the elite tier, the fears and the roadblocks that, there's a lot of security in I've got 30 jobs a year and I'm paying myself $250,000 and I've
Yep,
got a good team
there is.
to, okay, I know I want more time. I know I want to do 10 instead of 30. And I see what you're telling me. But if I change all the messaging and I only get 10, like, is
Yeah.
this going to work? It's a tough
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
And I really pride myself on really only working with women that I feel so invested in just on a human level because I'm so in it where I'm
Yeah.
looking at proposals. And I am like, okay, you have a call with who next week? Let me write that exact sales script.
Yeah.
So over the years, I have data, like the large majority of my women are doubling their sales 2 to 3 years after our work together. Or
Mhm.
if they're coming to me for licensing, right? Like that's a whole different story where
Right.
we're getting more opportunities. And how I help a woman really niche down and figure out, and this might be helpful for your audience, like how we do this is I look in a few different areas. One, we consider narrowing down to a specific project scope. So this could be I have a client out in Toronto and we niche her down for historic homes, like century properties, 100 plus years old. That
Okay.
might be too niche for you. Maybe you're really good at renovations. Or perhaps you're obsessed with construction in general, so custom new builds and renovations. So that's one way to niche down.
Right.
The other way to niche down is obviously an aesthetic. A lot of people talk about that, but that is not the only way,
Right,
right? So
right, right,
you
right.
can say, I just do renos, or it could be aesthetic. Or one of my favorite ways that I work with clients is niching down for a type of person. So project scope, right? It could be a place, a location, it could be aesthetic, or it could be a type of person.
Yeah.
So I have a client that I just coached, and we really niched down her messaging to not be for aesthetic, not be for scope, but to say, I work with uber busy professionals. These are C-suite executives. These are global entrepreneurs. These are people with, 100 plus franchises. They're building 8,000, 10,000 square foot homes.
Right.
And my aesthetic is my people. I
Yeah.
design personality driven homes for trusted experts and leaders.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece. I help her figure out like what category are we sitting in? And sometimes it's combo. Sometimes it's a historic home for the project scope mixed with a very traditional aesthetic. So
Right.
I'll like mix and play with a woman and I'm sitting with her for months to decide that. And one of the things we do to really make sure it feels comfortable for her, that we're not pushing her off the ledge, is I look at past data.
Yeah.
I look at past data and I look at the most profitable projects. I look at
Mm.
the projects she had the most fun with. And then I start to look for common themes. I'm like, wait a minute, hang on. 85% of the projects you've done are custom new builds and renovations. Wait a minute. We can actually just
Something's happening
claim
here.
this
Yeah.
as your expertise.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like part one is like figuring out what makes her different, what makes her special, how are we going to market her? And then the second part that I do when I'm working with a woman, like one of these 5 women a year, is I build an aesthetic around it. So everything from headshots I touch to all the marketing packets to her website, her logos, her fonts, her colors, and I make sure that aesthetic matches the niche.
Mm.
So, for example, like my client where we did historic homes out in Toronto, when I shot her for her headshots, we did in an old library.
Mm.
Or my client that we're really selling like a technical expertise with renovations and construction, you better believe that we use lots of hand renderings or
Yeah.
hand sketches and renderings and elevations on her
Yeah.
website
Hmm.
visually to sell.
Yes.
Or I'm trying to think, like we did headshots coming up for, or we have headshots coming up for a client where we're really selling like this uber successful market and not an aesthetic. I am being really crystal clear. And as I pick out her outfits or as I pose her or pick out the backgrounds for her headshots, that I'm not putting her in punchy colors. I'm not having really interesting art behind her. I want her to read quiet luxury, which is
Mm.
textured and layered and putting her in monotone outfits.
Mm.
So all of these pieces from the logo to the font to the headshots are part two after I figure out like what is the positioning. And I think like a really interesting thing I see all the time as I'm doing a back end audit of a woman is once again, she thinks that she's positioning herself as quote unquote high end or luxury. But I look at the headshots and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, she's leaning on a kitchen counter with a beautiful bowl of lemons, right? Or she's looking over her shoulder and styling a bookshelf. What does that sell? That sells relatability. That sells best friend.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we
Yeah.
want to sell a certain image and we are who we say we are and we don't want to
Mhm.
disconnect, like everything from the headshots
Yeah.
need to match as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So look at your headshots, guys, and like ask yourself, like, what message am I portraying?
Mm.
And what does that look like? And is it attracting the right market?
Mm. And explain that disconnect, like explain that, like, because that is typically, thousands of designers
Yeah.
have lifestyle shots on their website
Hmm.
like that. And if you are, mid-level or upper mid-leveled, it's great, but
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the put it in words, the disconnect between the lemon bowl shot and the ultra elite consumer? Why is that not working?
Yeah, because you look like you're selling your best friend sitting in your kitchen with like a latte and a bowl of lemons. And you're like,
Mhm.
this person is supposed to go be on the construction site at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday when I'm at a board meeting. I'm not perceiving this as a credible expert. I'm perceiving this as a decorator. And I don't want a
Mhm.
decorator. I want a
Mhm.
seasoned technical expert on the
Mhm.
job. And oftentimes, many cases, like you're selling your personal brand. If for a lot of my women, I'm going to call it 40, 50%, we want to position them as a tastemaker, someone that's cool, edgy, different, fun. So
Mhm.
if we want to do designs that way, you better believe we need the headshots to match.
Right, right.
Or we want the ideal client, the wives, to say, where'd you get that dress? I want to be her.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So the positioning is really, really important. And when I'm doing these brand launch weekends, like my entire team flies out to Chicago. So I'm spending months and months in the back end, like literally telling her, like, bring these outfits to Chicago.
Yeah.
We're gonna pose this way. Do you like this logo? I'm thinking we need more of a charcoaly gray or whatever it is, right, on the back end, more reddish brown. So when we meet in Chicago, I fly out my photographer that shoots for Vogue, and he's coming from LA. I'm flying
Wow.
out my web developer from New York City. I'm flying out my assistant that's steaming outfits. So it's all hands on deck, and we are like
Yes.
going to launch this thing. We spent so much time prepping it together. So like every nook and cranny is thought out, and like that's what I see many women doing is they're like, "Oh, I'll just do headshots over here because I know I have to do them." Or they're like, ugh, I need a new logo. Let me just like hire someone to do the logo. But
Right.
it's not all cohesive. And
Right. It's
they
not all
spend an entire
interconnected.
year babysitting a team of freelancers
Yes.
going back and forth. They have a copywriter over here, they have a logo person over here, they have headshots over here, they have this social media person over here, but they're not clear on their niche.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then there's this brand that was really expensive to create, but it's not converting in the way she wants to convert because there wasn't a creative director and a strategist on the
Right.
back end. So that's where I really sit in for the women.
Yeah. And that's your point is well made. It's not like we're not out there spending the money on all the different people.
No,
We just don't
yeah,
have them all talking to each other and creating that holistic, solution that
right.
shows up across all areas, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard because if a woman doesn't know what makes her different and special and knows the strategy and the verbiage, like how is she supposed to direct all of these other freelancers
Right.
to do
Right.
it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really interesting and it's a lot of fun because I'm able to think where do we want her to go and then how do I work backwards to get there. And
Yeah.
there's like so much involved on the back end. I mean, we're creating every single marketing packet. Like I am writing like 5 different packets, right? Or I have, this is so fun, and we like just printed these, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I like just got them in the mail. So I have a mother-daughter duo coming to me in Chicago in June, and they're from Vermont. And they came to me saying, like, Rach, we don't want to be perceived as this cutesy mother-daughter duo. Like, no way. They're like, we want to be positioned as high-end collaborators. I'm like, cool, I love it, obsessed. Right. So instead, what we're doing is having this positioning of the mom being like the seasoned technical expert and the daughter positioned as like what's new, what's next, tastemaker, next wave.
Mm.
So as I was thinking about their collateral and their marketing packets, I was like, okay, if we want different clients, right? We want like hedge fund people, like we that are buying second homes in Vermont. If we want that market, we have to do different and be different than everyone else. So something we just created that I was just mentioning we printed was like gorgeous, gorgeous, glossy magazines. We
Mm.
literally made a 40-page magazine for them. Like it has a barcode on the back. It looks better than Veranda. Truly, it's like edge to edge, right? Like edge to edge portfolio imagery. I like wrote out their biographies. I talked about the services in there. So now they have this gorgeous, gorgeous glossy magazine. And guess what? We're handing that to builders. We're going to
Yes.
hand it to architects when they go do a site visit and they're leaving that with the client. It's a whole different experience. So once again, we're putting them in the bucket of incomparable
Yeah.
because what are the other designers doing? They're showing up to do a site visit. They're
Mm.
collecting the $500,000-$600,000 to do it. They're doing a
Mhm.
little presentation. This is a whole different market.
Mm.
Really
Yeah.
interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And
It
once
is.
again, they were, when I started to work with them, marketing themselves as like, here's why you should work with us.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's
Yes.
interesting.
If you want to work with high end clients, you need to be high end yourself, right? Guess what? Top firms know this. Studio McGee, Corey Damon Jenkins and Associates, and other leading interior designers don't just rely on mood boards and sketches. They use top tier renderings to bring their visions to life. Because when clients can see the full picture, they say yes faster, with fewer revisions and more confidence. If you're still piecing together inspiration images from samples, hoping clients get it, it's time to level up your presentations. High quality renderings elevate your brand, streamline your workflow, and help you close better and bigger projects. Want to present like the best in the industry? See why top designers trust Duke Renders. Go to dukerenders.com/Luann to learn more.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because I'm trying to think who was it on the show? It might have been Dwayne Bergman. I feel like it might not have been too. His episode is really good. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely listen to his. But there was somebody that came on the show, and it might have been Daryl Long, but it was somebody who came on the show and was describing how when now the firm that he was talking about isn't this ultra elite firm. Like that's what you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, top tier, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, 1%ers, 5%ers, right?
Yep.
um but even just he would talk about how when he would have, because I remember he ran a big firm, it might have been Daryl Long, and it even just getting that new crop of designers that would come in and work for them and this and that and the other thing, they talked about like just doing road trips to like, okay, we're all going to start out at this beautiful high end luxury, dining experience. And we're going
Mm-hmm.
to have this amazing, you might have never in your entire life been treated to a luncheon like this before. And then from
Mm-hmm.
there, we're going to walk over and we're going to go to, I don't know the names that are, Prada, or I have no
Mm-hmm.
idea what names are
Yeah.
good, you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
walk through that store and experience that, and then maybe go into a Maserati dealership or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But like, again, we've had so much conversation on going from entry to mid, but not
Yeah.
from mid to high. But
Yeah.
it's the same type of thing. It's like when you think about it, so, and I only keep harping on it because I think all of us can understand, if you have raised like a regular garden variety human, like
Mm-hmm.
98% of us,
Yeah.
and you don't understand what it's like to have a luxury experience, how can you deliver it?
Yeah.
And what you're saying now is, yeah, that like kind of little like, packet in, what do they call it? It's not cellophane, but in those plastic
Yeah.
folders
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that you're leaving behind that was great before
Right.
is not cutting it at this level, right?
No, it's not. And what I find interesting is a lot of clients are like, well, I'm not spending or driving the car or have the house like my ideal clients have. They're like, so I don't feel comfortable understand or I don't feel comfortable in this
I don't
market
get
fully
it.
and
Yeah.
I don't fully get it. So I do a lot of training on like what's the psychology of this market, what
Yes.
they're thinking, what we should be charging, what's the experience of how we sell. And it's one of my favorite things to like literally write the sales script. I'm like,
Yeah.
say this, don't say this, which I find really interesting. And once again, like we're selling boutique. We're selling high end. So, and a lot of times we're like wiping a lot of the, I'm going to put in quotes here, like bonus work that they've done over the years. I'm like, if you are automating any emails, we are no longer doing that at all. Right? If you're working on 10 projects a year, and these are anywhere, it depends. I'll see women, we're trying to take furnishings budgets from 200 to 400. Sometimes I see it from 400 to 800, right? It depends on the woman, but we're trying to double furnishings budgets, sometimes triple. If
Wow.
you are doing that transition, then you cannot market yourself in the same way you were marketing it before. You
Right.
do have the time and space because you're only doing 10 projects a year to
Yes.
have a really high touch
Right.
relationship. And like
Right.
that's incredibly important in the
Yes.
positioning. Incredibly
And
important.
it's the truth. We even if we are not from that world or currently live in that world, most of us has little toes in the water where we've
Hmm.
treated ourselves to a special. We stayed at the
Sure.
Ritz one time, or
Yeah.
we did this or whatever. And when you say, the automated emails go away, the thing that got you here,
Yep.
the thing that enabled you to do 30 projects and have the projects managed well, was a lot of templated and automated emails.
Yeah.
We're not saying that's gone. We're not saying that goes away, but we're talking about like when you book, like, when you book at the Marriott, you get an email confirmation that
Sure.
everybody gets. But if you book the penthouse, I'm sure some
Yeah. You
billionaire
need
out
a
there,
different experience.
books the penthouse at something, that
Right.
person is getting a phone call from their concierge person at that hotel that says,
Totally.
"Hi, Mrs. Nigara, we're looking forward to you and your husband coming in next week." Right?
Right.
Like, I've never experienced that. That's not the level I swim in. But your point is, if you aspire to work with that client, that's what
It's
that
important
client
to
is experiencing in
understand.
other parts
Yeah.
of their
Or
world.
it's
Right.
even like how I coach my clients, right?
Right.
It's so beyond high touch. I'm only working with 5 women at this level, like capacity. So it's like when they show up in Chicago, like imagine this, Lou, like you walk into your suite, which is now our headquarters, and my assistant is steaming your outfits. And I literally have a fan and I'm sitting beneath you as my photographer for Vogue is taking your headshots. And I am moving your jewelry to make sure we get the perfect headshot where
Right.
every word on the website is written and
Yes.
trained. So, and whether you're currently in this market or you aspire to be in this market, I think like a really, really good example just to like help your audience see how important the positioning is to look at a wedding planner. I like using them because they're very similar and parallel of
Mm.
how designers run their business.
Right.
They're taking an event fee instead of a design fee. They're getting the markup on florals instead of furnishings. Okay.
Right.
So let's have everyone sit in the seat of let's pretend you're planning a 7-figure wedding. Okay. Big money. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You
Crazy pants
see,
for one day.
yep, you see 3 event planners. 2 of them are using verbiage of we have a great process. Here's why you should hire us. Click here to schedule your free consultation. It's a triggered email. Your 15-minute slot is in 24 hours. Okay, right? You're going to shop
Yeah.
them around. You're not sure if you like them. That's how they're positioning themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
The third one has verbiage on the website of like, hey, it's our expertise to work on multicultural weddings. I'm using that example because I had a
Right.
client that was in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
It's our expertise to work on multicultural weddings. Whether we're infusing 2 different religions, or it's a 5-day Indian wedding, or we're abroad, or we're in a temple or a synagogue, or this, that, and the other, our expertise is cultural etiquette. Our expertise is working on a high level event concierge. Our level of expertise is we know how to infuse religion and make everyone feel comfortable from around the world. This is our expertise.
Wow.
Now, you're sitting here being like, okay, I'm looking to have a 5-day Indian wedding. Who
Yes.
are you picking? There's
Right.
literally like zero question because what happened was they were very specific in claiming their
Yes.
expertise and they were not desperate in asking for the job.
Yeah.
They said simply, this is it. And
This is
then
what we
let's
do.
back it up with as featured in Vogue, we expect her to be expensive. And that's
Yeah.
another piece I do with clients is like help them get an AD, help them get in House Beautiful to verify that they are the credible expert mixed with these gorgeous headshots, right? It's like such a no-brainer. So when people talk about they're worried because they don't have the other pieces put together. Because when you do, it becomes such an obvious choice.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. And
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and even that one line, you nailed it there. It's like we understand the etiquette across multi cultures and multi
Yeah.
religions.
And
Like
it's
that's
the
just like, oh,
verbiage.
I
It
don't
is
have to sit there and walk you through. You
totally.
can't say that. You can't do this. We have to have this at the table. We can't have that at the table. It's like, boom, expert,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And then
Yeah.
it's like if you are having this 5-day event and you meet this one woman, right, who's actually like my client, right, it becomes such a no-brainer to hire her. You are not shopping her around.
Right.
You
Right.
may look at the event fee and go, whoa, that's a
Yeah.
lot more than I expected. But I also know that you're the one and I'm going to figure out how to work it with
That's
you.
right. Well,
So
and
that's
that's
what I
where
find really interesting with my clients.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's where in sales, it comes down to things like I can't tell you the 1,000 times in my life I've said, well, if we're talking about something, in this case, multiple millions, but
Yeah.
the point is, okay, if I'm considering, a multiple seven figure or a seven figure wedding, and that planner is in that thing, and the other one is literally what level of six figures,
Yep.
it's like I always say, well, we didn't save the $300,000 difference between the first one and the second one by going with the lesser
Right.
expensive one.
Right.
We blew the 750,000 on
Yeah.
the one who didn't deliver. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Totally.
It's
Totally.
like that. It's like, let's not forget. Yes, you saved 300,000 if you pick the one who wasn't really the true expert, but you
Yeah.
still spent 750 and didn't get what you imagined.
Totally. And I know like obviously like the wedding planning industry is like similar but different, but like just put yourself in the seat of like, okay, it with my client where we're really selling, like her niche is doing renovations and custom builds. So when we go to her website and we talk about how she has really like this unique expertise of design meets construction,
Yeah.
and we're saying that over and over again, and there's hand sketches and there's renderings and there's elevations and there's gorgeous photography and there's blueprints, right?
Yes.
If I am building a custom home and I'm looking at three different designers, the first two are like, give me a ring, I'm available,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the next one is like, my expertise is large custom new builds.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It
yeah.
becomes such a no-brainer to
Right,
say
right.
yes, because the messaging is clear, one, and two, the aesthetics match and is in every nook and cranny, website, headshot, marketing material, the way she's
Yeah, yeah,
selling
yeah.
herself.
Well,
Yeah.
and again, we see it in other industries. Like when
Yeah.
you go into a Maserati dealership, they're not like, oh, and if your budget was 35,000 for a car, that department's right there. It's
Right.
like, no, it doesn't exist. And it's,
Right.
you might want a $35,000 car, and that's perfectly fine, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not here. And
Totally.
so, and I just re-emphasize what you said at some point in the beginning was, all the lessons that we learned to get you from entry to mid are
Yeah.
still valid. We're not
Right.
throwing
Right.
that out of the water. This
Right.
is just if you have a desire to, like you said, just for a lack of a better way to describe it, go from 30 projects to 10.
Yep.
It's like, you have to figure out how you are going to, just like you had to figure out going from paint consultations and one room refreshes to full homes, your messaging changed, your process
Yeah.
changed. And in that level, going from entry to mid, process is very important.
Mm-hmm.
It is important that people understand, I'm going to give you my money and I have a high expectation
Sure.
that, it's good. It's funny because Kate O'Hara recently said a thing to me.
I
It's,
love her.
I know, right?
Yeah.
There is a difference in from entry, mid to elite um, design clients that changes from the scarcity is in the beginning is
Mm-hmm.
money and at the end is time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so in the beginning, it's, I have $100. Am I going to pay you to pick the paint colors for my house? And then
Mm-hmm.
it's, I have $25,000. Am I going
Mm-hmm.
to pay you to pick the furniture in my house?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, I have $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to just turn my house over and show
Yeah.
up and it's done? Right?
Yeah.
It's like it because I'm off in Aruba and
Totally.
I've
I'm
got
sitting on a
business in
board. I'm running
Singapore.
companies. Yep.
Yes, and
It's
I've got and I
different.
just want to walk
Yeah.
into that house and you nailed it,
Yeah.
right?
And you know what I find interesting is a lot of women that are coming to me, they have had experience working with these, I'm going to call it luxury clients, but they say to me, how do I get them consistently?
That's right, more of them.
It took me
Yes.
7 years, 5 years, 3 years, whatever it is to get to where I am. I don't want to spend another 5 to do it. Help me skip the 5-year
Yes.
learning curve.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Help
yeah.
me get there from 20% of my clients, 30% of my clients to 100%.
Right, right,
And I
right.
want to streamline it and I want to do it
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
they're out
yeah.
there. And they're out there. There's not
Time,
as
right? Yeah, yeah.
you should have seen her face. She's like, of course they're out there.
Well, because I hear that sometimes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, get on Zillow. They're there. Yeah. You're only looking for 10, right?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like there's less, but there's still hundreds of thousands of them across the globe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my chairman of the board coaching clients recently said to me that she had a walkthrough with a house that she was delivering a couple of weeks ago, and it was, I don't know how many square feet the house was, but she said, multiple $1 million project,
Hmm.
multiple, like a
Yeah.
6-figure design fee and all of the things. And she said, and we're delivering the home, and this will be the first time I'm meeting the individual. And
Hmm.
because he's got a team, he's got an
Yeah.
assistant, he's got different things. And it's like, you're just, they're there.
Yeah.
And I heard Kate in my ear going, in the beginning, money is scarce, and then it flips to time is
Time.
scarce.
Yeah.
And what that individual was, and listen, she worked her butt off, her team worked her butt off, she was
Sure.
proud and she was ready to go. But like, there's that moment, like, here you are seeing
Yeah.
your house, and I've spent multiple 7 figures getting you here.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
to
I
be
mean?
clear, right? Like that's not the norm in the luxury market, but like out of 10 projects, maybe every other
Yeah,
year you get one like that, but they
that's right.
are there. What we're
Yeah,
really talking about is like, how do we get six-figure design fees consistently?
yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
do we get the furnishings budgets up?
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta
Yeah, and
have
I only
yourself a
share it
difference.
because it's there, and,
It's there.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say her name because it's her business, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
y you know, probably 20% of my audience is met her, like a regular garden variety designer walking
Yeah.
among us, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
Like, it's not a, celebrity designer, it's not a Kelly Wearstler, it's
Right.
literally she's just positioned herself as the go-to expert in her area, where she is found by individuals who are like, we, no compromises. We want what we want and how we want it. And you got to deliver it with that high touch concierge level service.
Right. And you know what? Press helps a lot of my clients. I think give them the confidence as
Mm,
well that you're like, listen, like, because we do all the work of like, let me position you as a luxury expert for historic brownstones or whatever the niche is,
yeah,
right? Or
yeah, yeah.
this certain aesthetic. And let's get the headshots that match and all the marketing packets. And they're like, okay, this feels me. It feels exciting, right? Like a
Mhm.
lot of tears happen. But then when we get the press and we're like, oh, they're featured in AD, El Decor, Veranda, whatever it is, it's this other added layer of like, oh, the market is also telling me that
Yes.
I'm a credible expert too.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
that that is a powerful thing for me
It
to
is
witness for
powerful.
my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a tremendous gift if when and ever any of us gets that outside validation, like
Yeah.
high five, Kate, Kit DeLuca, you did a good thing,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
pretty woman, you got this, Kit
You got
DeLuca.
this. I
I
love
know you
that.
can do this,
Yeah.
right?
And to be clear, like you don't have to wait until the end of time to have the most amazing project to pitch.
Right.
There's two types of press you can do, guys. You can do project placement, obviously, full home, photographed, pitch to the media. Another thing that I do with my clients, I like to call it design leadership press. So that's being interviewed by Veranda of like, hey, here's the top 10 paint colors for 2025.
Yes.
Or, hey, we are interviewed by the Wall Street Journal about construction prices and what
Mm,
custom new builds look like. Guess what? We still get the logo and they're still interviewed as a credible expert. So I work with my clients to get those really, really quick after our coaching, like 4 months after our coaching. And we use those as we wait to have those
right.
amazing projects to
Right.
pitch.
They
But
use
guess
them as
what? You still
calling
get to
cards.
say you're an AD and we put it on the logo, we put it in her magazine, we put it in all the things. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's so exciting what you do. And it's fun to watch you
Thank
when
you.
you do show the behind the scenes through your Instagram and stuff
Oh
when
yeah, we
you're
have fun with that. Yeah.
you do. And
Yeah.
it does. It helps us understand, oh, yeah, okay, she gets the luxury market because here you are treating every single one of your clients with that luxury experience. It's like
Yeah.
putting you're putting it behind your words. You're acting and doing the things you say that you want us to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
special work and it's so fun to be behind the scenes. And then I'm invested forever, right? Like I can't tell you how many times, like my husband Travis, I'm like, oh my gosh, my client just signed X, Y, and Z. You want to have some wine? He's like, what? It's all the time because I'm in it. And it feels like it's my baby out in the world too, which just makes it so much fun. Yeah.
It's true, and you are that way. And
Hmm.
I not only know it from my experience, but I know it from all of the people who I intersect with, and they're like, "Oh, I worked with Rachel, and oh my God, and Rachel just left me a message, and Rachel just did this."
Aw.
Like, it's It's a special thing that you do, Rach. It's a special thing.
Thank
I really
you.
have to say. I mean, from the very first time I met you, it was like, whoa, this is like a different like breed here,
Thank
a
you.
different way of looking at things, and a different way of investing in another human being. And you
Thank
really do
you.
bring it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And I say this often, and I was talking to Trav about this the other day. It's an honor of a lifetime. I mean,
Mm,
my gosh, like I get to sit next to women that are so good at what
yeah.
they do. Like I could
Yeah.
never space plan the way
Yeah.
you guys do. I could never, ever do some of these things, but I get to help her shine a light on
Yeah.
her work and help her to get projects that are bigger that support her family, right? That employ the people she wants to employ and give them bonuses, and then also have the creativity while making great money. So
Yes.
it's just so much fun to help her with the strategy.
I love it. I love it. You are a rare, rare gem in our industry, my friend.
Thank
You
you.
really
I
are.
appreciate
Appreciate
you.
you. Yeah, I appreciate you too.
Thanks.
And before I let you go, I'm going to hit you with one of Christy's lines. You know Christy so well.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked you before we close out?
Gosh, I don't think so. I feel like we covered a lot of different things. This was
Yeah,
fun. I would say if anyone is interested in working together to visit my website. As mentioned, I'm only doing 5 of these a year.
yeah,
So it's going to have to feel like a good match on both ends,
yes,
personality, business, all of the things. So visit the website and we can have a conversation.
definitely. And we will put that in the show notes. Well, love your guts, lady. Really,
Thank
really
you.
do. Appreciate
Likewise.
you. And I'm always grateful that when you want to come and spend your time here and teach us a little bit of your magic. So thanks for coming, Rach.
Thank you.
I have to say, every time I talk with Rachel, I walk away feeling like my brain was completely rewired about how we think about positioning ourselves in the luxury market. And this conversation was no exception. Now, before we get into the insights from this conversation with Rachel, I just have to acknowledge this incredible personal transformation that Rachel is going through. Training for a half Ironman with a 6-month old baby? I mean, that level of commitment to personal growth while building a business and raising a child is beyond inspiring. But the thing that I found most interesting around this was her mindset about this particular challenge. Rachel said, I want to gain myself, not lose myself in motherhood. This is a philosophy of continuous growth and of pushing boundaries. And this is exactly what makes Rachel so effective at helping us transform our businesses. Now, in addition to this, we talked about a lot of things. So let's walk through some of them. First, let's talk about Rachel's own business transformation. Okay. Rachel has made a strategic decision to focus exclusively on brand launch weekends. This was previously her highest touch offering, where she becomes de facto an extra business partner with you for 6 months, handling everything from your headshots to website copy to marketing materials. She's going from 3 of these per year and other things that she was doing to simply 5 of these per year. And what does that tell you? It tells you something important, that when you figure out what you do best, double down on it, because that's what she's doing, right? And then think about that concept, 5 clients. She's pulling back on all the other coaching, the smaller packages, and she's going to go all in on just 5 people a year. That's all she wants. It's all she needs. This is not a strategy for everyone, but if you are thinking about that ultra luxury clientele, it might be a strategy for you. And Rachel is the girl to get you there. Now, the other moment that I want to bring up is the we and you marketing. Okay. This was kind of a light bulb moment. I wonder if you had the same feeling. If you've been writing things like, we work with you to bring your dream to life, or the advantages of working with us include, you're actually positioning yourself as available and eager. There's nothing wrong with that if you're happy with mid-market clients. And many, 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 many designers are going to make an amazing, profitable living working with mid-market clients, okay? But what Rachel's saying is, if you're aiming for the ultra luxury, you might be working against yourself in that marketing. She said, luxury positioning is declarative. It's confident. Instead of we work with you to bring your vision to life, she says it might be a meticulous attention to detail from concept to completion. Rachael says, you're not asking for the job, you're declaring your value. This shift in language alone can transform how the market perceives you. Okay? Now, something Rachael suggested that you can implement immediately. Have someone who represents your ideal client walk through your entire sales process and ask them to take notes on what they're thinking at each and every step. Remember, you need someone who actually is or thinks like your ideal client. And if you're like me, you might be wondering if ChatGPT could be this friend. I didn't ask Rachael her thoughts on that, but I'm thinking it could be yes. All right. Especially if you plug in all of the parameters of your ideal client. I don't know. Might be worth an exercise. Now, Rachael says that 80% of the women she works with are sitting on gold and don't even know it. If you haven't already, be sure to go back and listen to our previous podcast episode on discovering your gold mine. It's episode 759, and we've linked that one as well as Rachel's other episodes in the show notes. Right there is just a little case study in marketing, just going to say. All right. Rachael says the gold is often right there in your portfolio, in the patterns of your most profitable and enjoyable projects. You just haven't consciously claimed it as your expertise. Think about this. What if the majority of your best work already falls into specific categories? Custom new builds, historic renovations, working with busy executives, but you've never positioned yourself as the expert in that specific arena. This is the kind of gold that Rachel's talking about. It does often take someone else looking at you to see it. I will tell you that for sure. Another game changer from today's conversation is her opinion on headshots. How many have lifestyle shots? Leaning on kitchen counters with bowls of lemons, styling bookshelves. Many designers have done this because it's relatable, right? That's not right. But what Rachael is saying is if you're targeting clients who need someone to handle multiple million-dollar projects while those same clients are outrunning companies, that styling and that aesthetic could be working against you. Rachel's thoughts on this are that you are selling best friend when you need to be selling expert. There's something to be said in there, just gotta say. Now, here's what I want you to do after listening to this episode. Look at your current marketing with fresh eyes. Are you convincing or are you declaring? Are you asking for the job you're positioning yourself? And are you positioning yourself as the obvious choice, right? Are you asking for the job or are you positioning yourself? That's a key thing that Rachel's talking about. Here's what I want you to do after listening to this episode. Look at your current marketing with fresh eyes, right? Really just look at it. I have to tell you, it's the one thing that most of us are not good at, is just looking at it objectively. So go ahead, take a look at it with fresh eyes and ask yourself, are you convincing or are you declaring? Are you asking for the job or are you positioning yourself as the obvious choice? Are your visuals aligned with the level of sophistication that is equal or exceeding that of your ideal client? Okay? The luxury market psychology shift is crucial to understand. As Rachael explained, it's not about convincing someone you're the best. It's about reassuring them that you are the expert. This is a fundamental difference between trying to convince someone of your value versus declaring your expertise and saying, go ahead, choose me. I'm the right answer, right? Remember, you cannot be the designer for everyone and still be the designer at the top of your market. You have to choose your lane and own it completely. And it is worth thinking about. This level that Rachael is talking about is not a choice that each of us would make. right? Just as there are way fewer clients at that ultra elite luxury level, there will also be way fewer designers there to serve that. It may not be an area that you enjoy, but the thing is, if it is, and it's what your aspiration is, then you've got to pay attention to these key things that Rachael is teaching us. All right. I would say if you're exhausted by high volume and you're ready to transition to fewer, bigger, better projects, these insights could be the key to unlocking that transformation. The elite luxury market is real. It exists. And there are clients out there who need exactly someone like you to deliver for them. The question is, are you positioned in a way that makes you the obvious choice? Okay. If you're ready to make this kind of transformation and you think you might be a fit for Rachael's brand launch weekend experience, please visit her website at rachaeljohanson.com, which we will also link in the show notes. My goodness, Rachael, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us again. I love these conversations. I love them on air and off air. You are just one of my fave people on the whole planet, my love. You really are. Okay. And of course, I'm going to have to stay in touch with Rachael to see how this goes with the Ironman, and I will let you guys know how it's going. All right. Better yet, follow Rachael on Instagram and see it for yourself. All right. Thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, but more importantly, I hope you learned from it and you got some ideas from it. Okay. Thanks tons. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.